everything changed in a matter of seconds. I mean, you look at the 2026 NFL season looming right around the corner, and for one truly historic franchise, the foundation isn't just cracking, it is actively crumbling beneath their feet. Welcome to NFL Nexus. We don't just skim the surface of the news here. We completely dissect the disasters, the hidden triumphs, and those absolute critical moments that end up defining the gridiron. Think about the legacy of the Indianapolis Colts for a second. This is the franchise of Peyton Manning, right? The house that Andrew Luck built. This modern era was absolutely supposed to be a return to grace, a restoration of a perennial powerhouse. But instead it is teetering on the edge of complete and total ruin. Before we pull back the curtain on this developing catastrophe in Indianapolis, I need you to do something for me. Subscribe to the channel right now, like this video, and comment on what you thought as we navigate this crisis. And most importantly, support the channel by becoming a channel member today. Your support is exactly what allows us to bring you this cinematic, incredibly detailed level of analysis. Because what is happening right now with the Indianapolis Colts? It is a masterclass in how incredibly fast a promising season can unravel into absolute chaos.
So, will the 2026 season collapse before it even begins? Just think about the sheer gravity of that question. We aren't talking about a bad, 3-game losing streak in cold November. We are talking about a total organizational meltdown occurring right now in the dead heat of the summer, long before a single meaningful snap has even been played. Picture the training camp fields out in Westfield, Indiana. It's 90 degrees out there. The humidity is pushing 80%. The sound of pads violently cracking in that sweltering heat is supposed to be the soundtrack of hope for a fan base. But instead, the air is just thick with this palpable, suffocating tension. Every single press conference, every single locker room interview is shadowed by this massive underlying threat. You can practically see the coaching staff pacing the sidelines with a quiet, creeping anxiety. The pieces are totally in place for a catastrophe, and the wild part is it is coming from both outside the building and deep within it.
Section 1. The League's Disrespect. No primetime love.
So, you probably saw this recently. Former NFL MVP Cam Newton hosted Colts wide receiver Josh Downs on his podcast. And instead of your standard run-of-the-mill interview, Newton took the opportunity to absolutely troll Downs and the entire Indianapolis franchise. Look, this wasn't just some casual, friendly banter. This was the 2015 League MVP, a guy who knows exactly what it takes to reach the absolute mountaintop of this sport, looking a young receiver dead in the eye and publicly emasculating his franchise. When a former superstar openly mocks your standing in the league like that, it leaves a very real psychological mark. It plants a seed of doubt. It basically tells the 53 men in that locker room that the outside world views them as entirely irrelevant. And when professional athletes feel that specific level of disrespect, the pressure to prove everyone wrong mounts to an absolute boiling point. But here's the thing. This wasn't just Cam Newton talking trash just to get some clicks. He was weaponizing a very real, very tangible slap in the face dealt directly by the NFL schedule makers themselves.
The NFL's surprising disrespect. The Indianapolis Colts have been completely 100% shut out of the 2026 primetime spotlight. Zero. Not a single Sunday night, Monday night, or Thursday night marquee matchup. Think about that. The league office, the ultimate judge of what actually moves the needle for fans, looked at the Colts roster and simply decided they weren't worthy of the national stage. Think about the teams that actually did get those primetime slots. You've got franchises coming off massive losing streaks, completely rebuilding teams trotting out rookie quarterbacks, and they were all given the bright lights in the national cameras over Indianapolis. In a league that is entirely driven by ego, exposure, and legacy, being hidden away in those early Sunday broadcast windows is a brutally bitter pill to swallow. It creates an atmosphere of immense, heavy tension. The media is doubting them. The league is outright ignoring them. The locker room is already on edge. And right when a team needs absolute, unbreakable unity to combat all this external noise, a massive bomb goes off inside the building.
Section 2. A franchise on edge. The internal time bomb.
Everything shifted the moment James Boyd of The Athletic dropped an absolute bombshell report. Now look, Boyd is not some random rumor monger on social media. His credibility is ironclad, and this is meticulously sourced intelligence suggesting whispers of a truly devastating contract dispute. And it involves the heart and soul of the Colts roster, superstar running back Jonathan Taylor. Taylor is entering a make-or-break year, and we all know the reality of the modern NFL. The shelf life of a running back is notoriously brutally short. You get 2, maybe 3 prime years before the physical wear and tear totally degrades your explosive edge. So the financial anxiety that drives these specific disputes is profound. Taylor knows, without a doubt, that he is one awkward low tackle away from losing his earning power forever. When your most vital, irreplaceable offensive weapon feels undervalued, the entire playbook is suddenly written in pencil. This report sent sheer shockwaves through Indianapolis, but it is the specific tactic Taylor might actually use that should have the front office sweating absolute bullets right now.
A hold-in. Now, we need to get one thing absolutely straight. This is not a holdout. The distinction between those two things is quite literally everything. Under the current collective bargaining agreement, if Taylor simply packed his bags and stayed home, he would be subject to crippling, mandatory fines of $50,000 a single day. 50 grand every day. That bleeds a player's bank account dry and forces them to eventually cave. A hold-in, though? A hold-in circumvents all of that entirely. It is a surgical, tactical strike by the player. It means Taylor officially reports to training camp. He is physically in the building, he is sitting right there in the meeting rooms, but he severely, intentionally limits his physical participation. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a player develops a quote-unquote tight hamstring, or maybe a stiff lower back. These are phantom injuries that medical staffs cannot easily disprove. He protects his body, he completely avoids the daily fines, and he maintains his contract leverage while completely, utterly paralyzing the offense's ability to prepare for the upcoming season. Just imagine the psychological toll on the team. Their best player standing on the sidelines in a bucket hat and sunglasses, just watching while the rest of the squad grinds through the grueling summer heat, knowing full well they cannot win a single thing without him. It is a brilliant, vicious masterclass in psychological warfare.
Section 3. The offensive impact. What Indianapolis stands to lose.
2. Just let that number sink in for a moment. 2 back-to-back Pro Bowl seasons. Jonathan Taylor isn't just a good, solid running back. He is firmly entrenched in the NFL's elite upper echelon. And what makes him so elite isn't just his straight-line speed. It is his incredibly rare pre-snap vision. It's his violent, sudden cutback ability. It's that sheer breakaway speed that turns a mundane 3-yard gain into a 60-yard house call before the safety even knows what happened. When you have a back-to-back Pro Bowler of this specific caliber, it quite literally forces opposing defenses to completely alter their entire architectural game plan. Defensive coordinators have to run cover 1 or cover 0. They are absolutely forced to stock the box with 8 men just to contain him. And that singular massive gravitational pull is what opens up the entire passing game for the Colts receivers downfield. If he is holding in, that gravity just vanishes into thin air, and opposing defensive secondaries are suddenly totally free to blanket the wide receivers all day long.
1,400. That is the staggering, almost unbelievable figure of rushing yards he has produced in back-to-back seasons on the ground. 1,400 yards. And you really have to look closely at the advanced metrics to understand the true weight of that number. A massive percentage of those yards are yards after contact. Now sure, that represents a brutal physical toll on his body, but for the team, it represents absolute ball control. When an offense can reliably churn out 4 to 5 yards after taking a hit, they completely dominate the time of possession. They keep their own defense well rested on the sidelines. In the fourth quarter, when the opposing defensive line is just gassed, completely exhausted, a 1,400-yard back is incredibly demoralizing. They know exactly what play is coming, and they still cannot physically stop it. When you remove that level of guaranteed production from an offensive scheme, the domino effect is catastrophic. The passing game suddenly faces a relentless, unblocked pass rush, and the entire offensive ecosystem faces total, inevitable collapse.
18. Last season, Jonathan Taylor found the end zone 18 times on the ground, tying his absolute career high. Look, in the modern NFL, the red zone is exactly where coaches are fired and legends are made. When an offense crosses the 20-yard line, the field shrinks drastically. The passing windows become incredibly tight, these razor-thin gaps that require absolute perfection from a quarterback. Having a big, bruising back who can manipulate the raw physics of the line of scrimmage and reliably push the pile across the goal line 18 times, that is a luxury very, very few teams possess in this league. Without those nearly guaranteed points, what happens? Drives stall out at the 5-yard line. Field goals replace touchdowns, and those tight one-score games turn into agonizing, season-defining defeats. It's really that simple.
So you have Jonathan Taylor, the elite Pro Bowl weapon, the 1,400-yard, 18-touchdown engine, standing on one side. And on the other side, you have the backups, DJ Giddens and Seth McGowan. The depth chart right behind Taylor is frighteningly, dangerously thin. Giddens coming out of Kansas State and McGowan, look, they certainly have flashes of talent, absolutely, but they are completely unproven commodities at the professional level. And the fatal flaw when relying on unproven depth isn't just about carrying the football, it's about pass protection. That's the secret of the NFL. Can DJ Giddens correctly identify a veteran NFL linebacker showing a disguised double A-gap blitz? Can Seth McGowan step up into the hole and physically absorb a 250-pound edge rusher to save his quarterback's blind side? With all due respect to those young men, you simply cannot replace a generational foundational talent with a fragile safety net. The Colts are in absolutely no position to allow Taylor to miss any game action whatsoever. If Taylor holds in, the offense craters. There is no secret plan B hiding in a drawer somewhere.
Section 4. Leverage and History. The 2023 Blueprint.
The 2023 standoff. Because here is the craziest part of all of this. Jonathan Taylor has navigated this exact contract dispute before. This isn't just some theoretical exercise. We have seen this exact standoff play out in real time. Back in 2023, Taylor pushed the team to the absolute brink, and it got ugly. It was highly public. The bad blood spilled over into social media, with Colts owner Jim Irsay famously, or maybe infamously, tweeting about the expendability of players. That created this incredibly deep, toxic rift of mistrust between the front office and their star player. Taylor knows the pressure points of this organization inside and out. He knows for a fact that they will bleed without him on the field. He holds every single card in this negotiation because he has already watched management sweat through this exact scenario once before. The front office is basically staring down the barrel of a loaded gun held by a player who has already proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that he isn't afraid to pull the trigger on a hold-in.
Section 5. The Final Countdown. Ticking Clock to Catastrophe.
Let's look at the timeline here. July 27th, the rookies report. The excitement begins, fans are getting hyped. But the cold, logistical reality hits exactly 24 hours later. July 28th, the veterans report. This right here is 0 hour. When those black SUVs start pulling up to the facility in Westfield, every single camera, every boom mic, and the blinding heat of flash photography will be waiting right there. The entire NFL media landscape will be watching with bated breath to see Jonathan Taylor's next move. Does he step onto the practice field in full pads, ready to work, or does the hold-in officially, formally begin? And then the clock starts violently ticking down to August 15th, the opening of the preseason against the Los Angeles Rams. If Taylor is standing on the sidelines in street clothes by mid-August, the sheer panic inside Indianapolis will reach a deafening fever pitch. Every single day that passes without a signed resolution is a day this team falls further and further behind the rest of the league.
So it really all comes down to this. Who is going to blink first when the fate of the entire season is on the line? Is the Colts front office going to swallow their pride, open up the checkbook, and pay their superstar exactly what he wants to save their 2026 campaign? Or will they play a dangerously stubborn, high-stakes game of chicken with a player who has absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain by holding his ground? The primetime lights might be totally shut off in Indianapolis this year, but make no mistake, all eyes in the football world are fiercely, squarely locked on this ticking time bomb.
The stakes could not possibly be higher for this franchise right now. What do you guys think the Colts should do here? Drop down and comment on what you thought. I genuinely want to hear your strategies for fixing this absolute mess of a situation. If you want to stay ahead of every single rumor, every complex hold-in, and every major collapse happening around the league, you need to subscribe to the channel right now. You are watching NFL Nexus. Please make sure to like the video to push this explainer out to the rest of the NFL world. And honestly, the best way you can help us out is to support the channel by becoming a channel member today. Your membership is exactly what guarantees we can keep delivering this cinematic, deep dive analysis directly to you. Until next time, keep your eyes glued to July 28th. The clock is ticking.